Yo, Tyreek, what do you think about Travis Hunter?
He gonna be ass.
Tyreek Hill just called Travis Hunter 2 packs of ass. OTAs are back in action. That means a little bit of NFL action for us. Today, what we're going to talk about is some of the negative narratives around Travis Hunter and some of the positive ones. So we have some clips from OTAs about him running some crispy, smooth, clean routes. But the majority of this video is going to be talked about his quarterback, Mr. Trevor Lawrence. We're going to speak about to a lot of the expectations that he had coming into this season and some of the people who really have him on the hot seat as it is going to be his 5th year, big contract, big expectations and all that. And then one of my favorite things to do, we're going to do a side episode of debunking lies on Twitter. Our favorite account, ML Football, is lying on Travis Hunter. So we'll debunk that too and go through it, man. I really appreciate y'all rocking with these videos, watching them. Cannot thank y'all enough for the support. So if you like it, like it. If you don't, dislike it, subscribe. If you enjoy football content of all shapes and sizes, I'm about to be smacking you over the noggin with OTA videos. Jamie Horn video coming soon. Shiloh Sanders doing big things. If there's any other team you want me to post, let me know down below in the comments. Let's start with you know who. So first off, before we even do anything, congratulations to Mr. Travis Hunter. Obviously, he was recently married. I do not do a gossip around here. We keep it football, so I'm not about to get into y'all whole whatever, Leanne, whatever, the G-Wagon prenup stuff. Yeah, there's plenty of channels for y'all to go watch that. Go watch that. But in foosball, the boy feels nice. He looks loose. He looks like he wants to play some foosball, and you can never be mad at a man that's ready to go out there and catch some passes. There he is getting nice and lean and limber down there in Jacksonville, where I remember Travis Hunter saying that there's plenty of fish. Now, here he is actually operating and moving. And I do want to preface this by saying that there is, different teams have different, ways how they do it. Like specifically with the Browns have no, what's it called, media at OTAs. I believe my Texans don't have any media. So people have media at different times. And specifically today, it seemed like Jacksonville didn't have a lot of media there. Now Liam Cohen is on the stand as we speak. Wow, the way I said that, on the stand. He's giving a presser as we speak. I believe former first-round overall pick Mr. Trevor Walker is also giving talking to the media as well. So there should be some good stuff there. And then here we go. I think, Mr. Sunshine, the man that this video is going to be a good bit about, him delivering the ball. And the conversation that we'll have about Trevor Lawrence really is what can Trevor Lawrence do to mess up a beautiful situation that he has? I mean, he's going to have a Brian Thomas who is already, after his rookie year, seen as a top 5 wide receiver, right? Both in production and what he can do off the field. I mean, sorry, both production and, the savant level things that he can do on the field. And then you talk about somebody in Trevor Lawrence with, the expectations of the next Andrew Luck, the expectations of being, breaking all the records with Deshaun Watson. We're going to get deeper into that. But before we do that, right, after we watch him sling the ball, I want to prepare y'all, okay? Y'all have to understand, with great power comes great responsibility, right? And I talked about this in my Mary Cabot video. I talked about this in my last video when ML Football, this same account, was lying on Shedeur Sanders, saying that he bought a Rolls Royce. And what I told y'all was, don't get it conflicted. Don't, it's never a mistake. I want y'all to know that these aren't mistakes that are happening. They want you to think it's a mistake. They want you to think that this stuff happens. So let's walk you through it. So here's ML Football, and I've completely blocked these guys. But I did see somebody from Shedeur's camp or Travis's camp tweet and talk about this. So here's what the clip says: Tyreek Hill just called Travis Hunter 2 packs of ass. Boy, that boy buns. This is what he has to say.
Yo, Tyreek, what do you think about Travis Hunter?
He gonna be ass.
Okay, so if you just watch that, first off, which is kind of funny, this video got like it got no views and no clicks. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's funny to say that, right? And it's easy to see that, but this is what I mean by it's never on accident, because this is what literally happened 15 seconds before he said that.
Be honest, what do you think about Travis Hunter?
I already asked. Oh, he already asked me.
I already got the clip.
Travis gonna be a dog, bro.
What?
Travis gonna be a dog. Shedeur gonna be a dog.
Can you redo it for my clip?
Oh, okay. And there you go. Can you redo it for my clip? He asked it again. Hey, go call him buns, call him back. You know what I'm saying? Go crazy. You can see them laughing. Like it is what it is. But the problem is, and this is what I was trying to tell you on these other videos, right? Is that we know it's fake. I can tell it's fake. You, my audience, you're phenomenal. You're amazing. You're watching my video. So clearly you're a little bit smarter than the average bear. you know it's fake, but your grandma, your uncle, your aunt, your nephew, your niece, people who don't interact with, forget about, and this is where I'm gonna put myself in the perspective. This is just internet stuff, right? If you don't know a lot about football, it's easy to see, oh, well, you know, Tyreek, some NFL dude's calling out Travis Hunter, right? If I didn't know a lot about a ballerina thing and I saw some out of context thing, I'm thinking in my head, well, that ballerina is super mean to these other ballerinas. I don't know nothing about no ballerinas. I don't know. As a football fan, obviously as a football fan, I know that Tyreek Hill, first off, he speaks highly of a lot of people, and you know, and he's not a very big negative type of guy. Like, that just don't even sound like Tyreek Hill. First off, and then second off, you can clearly just see there's another clip of them making a joke. So look, man, it's hard out here. It's really hard out here to get things going. So I understand why people are trying their hardest to get their clicks off, but I want to talk about something. And the thing that, you know, the main thing that we're going to talk about after watching Travis Hunter come back to OTAs, that means Trevor Lawrence is in OTAs. That means Brian Thomas is in OTAs. And we love Brian Thomas. We did a video on Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. Check that out. It's time for Trevor Lawrence to get his comeuppance. And it's nothing negative. I'm pro Trevor Lawrence, but I want him to do terrible only because of this thing right here, because I'm a Texans fan. I can't have any you AFC South boys thinking that you can just pop up and sprout out. CJ Stroud is the only man around here, okay? Just want to get that point across. But in talking seriously and non-biased as a non-Texans fan, we're speaking about somebody who not only had a lot of high expectations, but you have to remember did a lot of large things in the world of college football. Now, as it sits today, May 25th, 25, if you compare Trevor Lawrence to Daniel Jones, the records, Trevor Lawrence is 22-38. Daniel Jones is 22-37, basically 38 because it's one time there. Total yards, well, Trevor Lawrence has 14,898, and then Daniel Jones 14,605. I do want to say Trevor Lawrence has dealt with some injuries, more specifically last year. Sorry, it did have to do with this. Algier absolutely drilled his shoulder into Trevor Lawrence, which I didn't think was the nicest thing to do, but I mean, we play football. But nobody wants to see that. He was out, concussion protocol, and I believe he's had some injury things in the past. So I'd put an asterisk on next to that. Passing to touchdown interception. Now, this is something that I am super critical on Trevor Lawrence about, which is his pass to touchdown interception ratio. Pass touchdown to interception ratio, 69-46, and then you have Daniel Jones at 62-42. And I'm about to get right back to that. 1 second. Passer rating, 85 for Trevor Lawrence, 84.2 for Daniel Jones, 63.3 completion percentage, 64 completion percentage for Daniel Jones. Again, for the completion percentage, I will say Trevor Lawrence was, like, when he came to the league, he was supposed to be a blue chip guy that was supposed to be throwing. Daniel Jones was too, but he was looked at more as a project guy, right? Trevor Lawrence was looked at as a polished guy, so he threw a lot more. And, you know, he was also 1 year under Urban Meyer, would do a lot of terrible things to you. But that kind of gets to my point. So going back to the pass touchdown interception ratio, the reason why I struggle with a lot of interceptions, right? If you're a player like Baker Mayfield, crazy pull, Baker Mayfield. But if you're crazy, a Brett Favre, a gunslinger, if you're someone, Josh Allen, right, who puts the ball in peculiar situations and believes in his arm, because Trevor Lawrence, he's got an arm on him and believes in his arm to do phenomenal things with the football. I'm okay with high interceptions. I've grown as I've watched more football. I used to hate, oh no, if you're not efficient, because Aaron Rodgers used to go crazy with that. If you're not Aaron Rodgers, 3 interceptions, you're not bad. But no, I've grown to know that, hey, there's situations are situational, right? And if you can push the ball down the field in lieu of those interceptions and turn the ball over, hey, we're good. What I don't like about Trevor Lawrence is that it feels like he has all the abilities to do that, to be a gunslinger, to push the ball down the field. But it feels like he doesn't. It feels like he wants to keep going to the simplest routes. He likes some check downs. He likes to go here. And then whenever he does have great ideas, it seems like it's a 50-50 miss, because there's some amazing balls. There's sometimes he attacks the middle of the field. It's phenomenal. I love watching him. Obviously, he's 6'6", so he's big. I love watching Trevor Lawrence operate around the goal line, right? He is, I think, one of the better ones, just comfortability-wise, the throws that he's able to pull off. But when you can't have that consistently and you're not doing the big things in the right way, then we start to struggle, right? We start to struggle if you can't consistently push the ball down the field. So let's look at some more stats that we have to talk about. So Trevor Lawrence's numbers for the first year with Doug Peterson, he was 9-8, 241. So this is actually going to give him some grace on how he's grown as a player. 9-8, 241 yards per game, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 66.3% completion, 95.2 QBR. His final season with Doug Peterson, yes, there were a number of injuries, 2-8, 200, and again, go back to the injuries, 204.5 yards a game, 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 60.6, 85.2. Now, to also give him some more credit, QBs with the most rushing yards since 2021. And in this list, Mr. Trevor Lawrence is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's number 8 on this list, and nobody looks at Trevor Lawrence to be an elite rushing guy. The only Power 5 quarterbacks, and we're about to go talk about his Clemson days in just a second, only Power 5 quarterback since 2012 with a single season deep accuracy rate, 55%, over 55% in the most productive college season. Justin Fields at 63, Joe Burrow at 65, Aiden O'Connell, that's a crazy one. Trevor Lawrence, Clemson at 55.1. So I say all that to say that there's a lot of reasons for me to not have to even compare this and to not have to cop please and to try to justify why Trevor Lawrence, right, a number 1 overall pick, someone who was touted as one of the greatest prospects that comes to Andrew Luck, there should be no reason why his stats equate to Daniel Jones, who is literally a laughing stock in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? There's busts, and then there's players who notoriously get made fun of for just being awful, and Daniel Jones is in that tier. So I would love to just say, hey, it's Doug Pearson. I would love to say, hey, it's just injuries. But when I watch Trevor Lawrence, I see high highs and really lows that are just like, really? Like I feel like you got it. I feel like you should be torching the Texans every year. You should be giving it to Brian Thomas every year. Whoa. You know what I mean? Let's speed through it. So I saw this post and I think it was a good sentiment or a really good summarization of some of the things that I've been seeing. So Trevor Lawrence is entering his 5th year in the NFL. Lawrence gets too much negativity and criticism for a guy trying to be carrying a struggling franchise that is always in rebuilding mode. Trevor's first year was a complete disaster with Urban Meyer, which is true. Trevor's past 3 seasons under Doug Peterson improved, but play calling was horrendous and mid-wide receivers to work with. If the Jaguars put a solid team and coaching staff around Trevor Lawrence, you will have a top 5 offense and consecutive playoff spot. Trevor Lawrence isn't the problem. It's always been poor coaching, injuries, mid-team around him, and management. Hopefully the 2025 with a fresh young front office and coaching staff plus better players, Trevor, you'll get the best out of Lawrence and be a top 5 quarterback in the league. And just to take you back there, Trevor Lawrence stats in his last 9 starts. So this was before this is October, right? So this is before, because they actually turned it up in the mid part of the season. This is what he was looking like. He was 0-9. He was 58% completion percentage, 2,000 yards, 14 touchdowns to 11 turnovers, and 80.7 passer rating. He wasn't looking phenomenal. Fewest passing touchdowns by a quarterback to start each of their team's first 10 games since 2020. Daniel Jones at 9, Daniel Jones at 9, Daniel Jones at 8, Trevor Lawrence 2021 at 8. And again, I say these things to point out some of the things and some of the places that Trevor Lawrence shows up, okay? So, and understand this, right? Trevor Lawrence does have a giant contract. And speaking of that, right, this is when they signed that quarterback. This is June 13th. Quarterback Trevor Lawrence signed a 5-year, $275 million extension, $200 million guaranteed. He's played 50 games at this point, 63% completion percentage, 11,000 passing yards, 85 pass rusher, and 964 rushing yards with 11 rushing touchdowns, and a one-time Pro Bowl season. I think that Trevor Lawrence is going to do and can do phenomenal things. We're going to recap it. We're actually going to go back in time. We're going to talk a little bit about his Clemson legacy. But I want to, before we get to this, because we're going to watch a little bit of this, because he's going to speak on basically a realization that he had. And he talked about this recently, the realization that he had a dog and Brian Thomas on his weapon seat. So I think there's a lot of things changing for him. I think there's a mindset changing. I think Trevor Lawrence can, instead of Trevor Lawrence holding back Travis Hunter, I think Travis Hunter can unlock something in Trevor Lawrence. So
yeah, I've had a couple different moments. So our first practice together in OTAs, he made some crazy plays. I threw a fade and he just snagged it with one hand, just casual. Like ball skills were ridiculous. I could see all that right away, and he's so fast and but it doesn't look like he's running hard. He's one of the smoothest guys I've seen, definitely played with. And then so that as OTAs, and it seemed like the beginning of training camp, we got off to kind of a slow start. It was just for whatever reason, it seemed like the ball kind of just kept going everywhere else, and we're kind of struggling to get him involved. And then when we did joint practices with Tampa here in camp, I mean, he just blew everybody away. I mean, he was running down the field. We were throwing him bombs like post, these divide routes, everything over the top. He's just running past everybody. And I think that's when you saw a lot of his competitiveness pop and come out. And then obviously when we played the Chiefs in the preseason, he made a huge play on the sideline on a go around. We were all standing there. A lot of the guys had come out of the game, but he was getting a few more reps, and we were all standing there and watched him make this crazy catch on the sideline, and he was getting hype. And to see his competitiveness, because he's a more quiet guy, but to see him come alive and see that fire, I think was really cool to see. Yeah.
Seen a ton of them just yet?
Yeah, got a lot of juice. Like he can run all day, a lot of energy. I love it. Good energy. Always dapping guys up, just bringing juice every day. And like I said, high motor, can just go. It's like a kid, just runs around all day.
And I think that's clearly that you can see that, look, Trevor Lawrence is a guy that cares about his guys, and he not just cares about his guys, but he can see the level that they want to get to. They can see that he can see the want, he can see that there's a value there, right? So I think that can translate to, hopefully, I think that Trevor Lawrence is going to be inspired by Travis Hunter. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to get the battery put in his back and the inspiration while having a Travis Hunter. You have a Travis Hunter and a Brian Thomas to throw to. I think it's going to make sense. And look, it's easy to be hard. It's easy to be hard on Trevor Lawrence, and especially as a Texans fan, like I said, I want y'all to fail. I don't want positive things to happen to the Jaguars and not to Mr. Goldilocks there. But we have to talk about the legendariness of Trevor Lawrence and the fact that I think his pedigree will have to show up. Look, Lawrence broke Deshaun Watson's Georgia high school career passing yards record and passing touchdowns record, won 2 state titles as a starter, and was the USA Today's National Player of the Year as a senior. Lawrence and fellow quarterback prospect Justin Fields, they grew up just 20 miles apart while they were battling to be the top prospect in the world, and not in the world, but in the nation. And then going on top of that, when you look at him from an NFL perspective, right, and transitioning to the next stage of his career, right, this is how he was looked at. Played rare volume of high leverage games in the 3-year starter. Like it was alluded to, he came into a dominant Clemson team, and as a rookie quarterback, which hadn't been done since I believe 1985. Led since 1985 Oklahoma, and led a team to a national championship, then led them back to a national championship. Lots of high-stake games, 86-4 record as a starter dating back to high school, commanding presence with unmistakable air of confidence, elite size, athleticism, and play traits. Look, I say those things to say that there's a lot of stats that back up the fact that Trevor Lawrence should be that guy, right? And then when you look at things like this, when you see him make throws like he makes, again, against the sideline, this is traffic in his face, falling away. I mean, he's got the talent. And I think this is the thing that really pops off the most for you when you're looking at him, is that, oh, this is not an incapable guy. This is a guy that can get the ball in places and spaces. But, if people are going to drop passes like you just saw, wide open, it can't happen. If people are going to, not be there when you need them to be there, what else do you want else to make happen there, right? Another great pass here. And he's going to be looking left. I think, is this not the outlook? Oh, yeah, this one, talk about a Brian Thomas connection, right? He's going to get this, take 1-2 steps, right? Look at how muddy this is. He's looking for the end zone. And this is what I mean by operating in the red zone. I really think that he can use his 6'5", 6'6", range. He stays in there. He's tough too. Doesn't get enough credit for his toughness. Stays in there. Absolutely delivers a dot over like 17 defenders to a 6'4" Brian Thomas. Look, if you are a Jags fan, you have to hope that, Travis Hunter will only raise the level of Trevor Lawrence's play, right? Because, the Jags have been dealing with some bad wide receivers that are dropping things. I think the world is in your hands when it comes to production. Trevor Lawrence just has to go out there and back it up. So y'all let me know down below in the comments, do you think Trevor Lawrence is going to hold back Travis Hunter? Like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't like it, subscribe if you enjoy football content. Continue to be great, because you know you're great, I know you're great, we know you're great, and we'll see you next time, all right?